the world exists. Doesn't matter if it's round or flat. You can decide whatever you want. So
You need to take whatever is important for you to, again, eyes on the prize, pass the CISSP exam. All right, so that's where we keep the scope of this training. Again, me personally, when we talk about vulnerabilities and access management and penetration tests, there are so many other areas that I can present to you and take you to, you know, tools and methods of attack that I can take you to, but the CISSP doesn't require me to, you know, train you on that. We have other training programs. If you're interested, then, you know, we can talk about that later, that are more in-depth in certain areas, but not the CISSP. So guys, let's begin with the next one that we have here. The next one, the domain 3 that we're about to start now, is probably the most intimidating one of all in the CISSP. When people are facing the CISSP and they get to this idea that they review the CISSP requirements, they all want it, they all hear about it. The requirements is to understand certain parts of cryptography. This becomes very intimidating, very scary for many, many people. The reason it's so scary is that cryptography is perceived as a, you know, very complex, mathematical, if you may, field of business, field of understanding, skill set. And it's very rare for someone, for an individual, to be with that much understanding in the field of cryptography to, you know, be able to say, yes, I know everything that needs to be known about cryptography enough to pass the CISSP. So there's a lot of misconception around that domain. And my role with you from now until the end of this domain is to first take care of that misconception. This is not as scary as it looks. It's not as scary as it sounds. Okay? This is one. And two, my goal, my mission now is to help keep you in focus of what the CISSP wants to make sure that you understand. You're not a cryptography professor in the university. You don't need to be. Okay? Again, taking it back to the question or the mention that Aaron just mentioned about, you know, physical memory that we need to consider when doing asset security. You need to understand the in-depth knowledge and understanding of what is required for you to pass the CISSP. The CISSP doesn't require you to fully understand every algorithm that is out there for cryptography. The problem is, when you look at the book, it looks like they do want you to understand every algorithm. Not the way the exam is written. Okay? The exam will not take you into too much depth of the different cryptography algorithms. There are certain areas that we need to consider, understand, and even remember, okay, to provide the answer for the CISSP question. That's what we're here to do, okay? You get 12, 13, 14, maybe 15 questions on domain 3. Our goal is to be able to answer those questions. Those questions will most likely will not ask you about the way AES or DES versus triple DES and 2DES is structured. This will not be your question. The questions that you most likely get under domain 3 are how to use efficiently the cryptography to provide two principles for your data and your system or your system, okay? The two elements are confidentiality, the C, and integrity, the I. So again, the question behind domain 3 that they want to know that you are able to answer is how do you use cryptography to protect confidentiality and integrity of data or system, all right? This is very important because it will direct your studies with domain 3. It will remove any other noise from your book as you read through the book. There might be questions here and there that will ask into more depth than others. But most likely 95% of the questions that you will see, that you will get in your CISSP, would want to make sure that you know how to use cryptography to achieve confidentiality and integrity of your system or data. That's it. Okay, guys? That's why, that's my role. I'm here to screen all other noise that you might encounter during reading the book and facing the materials, the endless materials in the CISSP. I'm here to do exactly this. And throughout domain 3, throughout the chapters on cryptography, I want you to stay in focus on that. How do I use that for data and system confidentiality and integrity, right? That's it. That's 95% of your CISSP around cryptography. So, sorry about that. My video went off. So let's begin with domain 3. Domain 3 has, I think, 5 chapters in it, 4 or 5 chapters in it. I don't remember how many chapters. I think it's 5 chapters. But I broke it down to you in our WhatsApp group, directing that each domain with the chapters in the book. So hopefully today we will start and finish domain 3. That's my personal goal within the next 6 hours to complete domain 3. However, if we will not complete that, I'm pretty sure we will complete the part about cryptography. So from today, I want you to start planning your evening practice to complete domain 1, to cover domain 2. We completed domain 2 today, okay? And to practice on domain 3, okay? More and more, you will get more and more cryptography questions, all right? So you have a lot of homework tonight. Plan your evening accordingly. Wake up early tomorrow morning. I want to see exams, okay? Yesterday, Carlo, you asked me how many exams. So after today, I will tell you I want to see 5 trials, 5 exams by each and every one of you. That's the only way you will succeed with domain 1, which is super important, the most important one. You will cover domain 2, which we already covered, and you will face the the scary one, the scariest one, which is domain 3 cryptography. Okay, that's the only way it will be memorable by you. That's the only way you will succeed. So plan your evening and tomorrow morning and your night. 5 exams after today. All right, guys? That's your part today.
So that's 5 exams on each domain, right?
No. That's 5 exams total.
Oh.
At least 5 exams tonight. All right? Take 1 on domain 1 or 2 on domain 1, 2 on domain 3, and 1 on domain 2. Just make sure you wrap it all up. If you wanna take 10, I will not say no, but I want you to take minimum of 5 exams before tomorrow morning session. All right? Okay. So domain 3 starts with chapter 6, which is basic cryptography, basic principles in cryptography, symmetric and asymmetrics, hash, and when to use specific areas of cryptography to achieve our objectives. So cryptography is a way to hide or to cover data or system activity in such way that will be known only for the authorized parties, okay? So what cryptography cannot provide, cryptography is it's a control, right? It's a control. It can be corrective, right? Somehow, if we manipulate, if we use it in a certain way, we can probably do some detection with it, okay, digital signatures and such, and we will talk about that. The one thing that cryptography cannot provide us is availability. I know that now it seems pretty straightforward. However, ISC love messing with our minds. They set the rules. It's their field. They're the opponents. They are there to win us. We are there to win them. All right? So as they mess with your head and draw a picture of a situation, of a scenario, and they say, let's use cryptography to provide availability of a system or data, this is not the right answer. All right? Cryptography is only for C and I, never for A. All right? I know you fully understand this now, but in the exam, it's a different game, a whole different ball game. All right? So I don't want you to forget that. Cryptography does not provide availability. All right? Cryptography can provide confidentiality. That's the objectives. We have 4 objectives we can achieve. The first 2 are pretty straightforward. We already mentioned that. Confidentiality, which I want you to write down the word privacy next to the word confidentiality. In your presentation, write down privacy next to the word confidentiality. So confidentiality / privacy. Every time we say confidentiality in cryptography, we also refer to it as privacy. All right? So going back to the data classification and privacy that we talked about in domain 1, and the laws of privacy that we talked about in domain 1 and domain 2, right? Privacy controls can be confidentiality controls used in cryptography. All right? So confidentiality and privacy achieved through cryptography, pretty straightforward. We protect the transmission of the data, we protect the data itself. We do this protection to avoid disclosure. All right? The D against the C. All right? Remember the CIA and then DAD. Okay? So this is to avoid disclosure or prevent disclosure. The next one is integrity. We want to make sure that the information was not tampered with. Okay? We want to make sure that the data was not altered. And we use cryptography to maintain integrity. We use digital signatures. We use the message digest. We use hash function to create message digest to know that nobody messed with this encrypted message along the way, right? So this is integrity. The third objective, these are the 2 objectives, okay? First 2. The third objective that we can achieve with cryptography is non-repudiation. Non-repudiation means that no party sending information, sharing information, can deny the fact that they were the ones to actually share this information. They cannot repudiate, okay? They cannot repudiate, they cannot deny the fact that this information was originally sent by them and not by someone else, all right? And then The fourth objective that we can achieve with cryptography is authentication. Authentication and authenticity. Authenticity is more of the integrity of the information. And authentication is challenge, that we can challenge the other party before we share information with them. And we will see that, okay? So there's a challenge in the cryptography mechanism to say, let's see that you are actually you. It's not identity management, but it's more of a, let's see how you behave before I share the real information with you, okay? And if you don't behave the way I expect you to behave in this cryptography exchange of information, then I don't share the real information with you. We will see about that. We will cover this too. These are the four objectives of cryptography, okay? Confidentiality / privacy, authentication, integrity of information, and non-repudiation. The acronym that I would like you to write down here is PAIN. Write it down, please, okay? PAIN. That's your acronym. So P stands for privacy, right? Or C, confidentiality. Are we all good about that? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what is cryptography? Let's start with the basic. Cryptography is about hidden writing. We don't want everybody to know what is written here, so we hide it in such a way that can be unhidden on the receiving party. So say that we share a secret between us, okay? Then that secret becomes the method, or it is the key for the method on how to decrypt the information. On one side, we encrypt the information, okay? We take the plain text and we process it through a mechanism that encrypts it. And on the other side, what we get is the ciphertext, okay? Plain text going through encryption creates ciphertext, and vice versa. Ciphertext going through decryption process gives us the plain text, right? So for the plain text to be readable by the receiving party, to be shared confidential in a confidential manner, we need to process it and encrypt it first, and then the receiving party will not just read the encrypted message, it will go through the decryption process and then get the plain text again, and that one is more readable for them, right? That's how we transfer the message. So that's the basic behind cryptography. That's the basic of basic. The process of taking plain text, using an encryption mechanism to transform it to something unreadable, and then as the receiving party receives the unreadable message, they take it and they run it through the decryption mechanism, okay, to get the plain text. Now, for any cryptography, and that's something I would like you to write down, for any cryptography, we have two factors that will determine the strength of the cryptography. The first one is the key, okay? Key is one factor that will determine the strength, the level of confidentiality that we can achieve using that cryptographic algorithm. The second one is the system or method, okay? The method of hiding the data. So we have two parts, two factors. One is the key, and the second is the method, okay? The key can be in some length, okay? Or a secret that we share between us, but the method that comes after it is, is the interpretation of what we agreed on the both encryption process and decryption process. Okay? So when we say cryptographic algorithm, we say these two. We say we have a key that needs to be shared between two parties in order for them to share information securely. But we also have, under the word algorithm, a methodology, a method, okay, a system of actions, maybe mathematical actions, maybe something else. Maybe it depends on the weather or the date of that specific day, okay? Or maybe it depends on your location, your GPS coordinates, anything that you can put in the methodology, as long as it's the same methodology for both parties, sender and receiver. Do you see how this is structured? Any questions on this? Because this is really, really important to understand the future or any other questions that you will encounter on your CISSP exam. The key and the method, okay? These two determine the strength of the cryptographic algorithm, all right? Now, to determine how your cryptographic algorithm is strong after you chose the key and the method, there is this phrase called entropy. Entropy is another word for randomization, okay? So high entropy means that there's no order in the way you use your cryptographic algorithm. Even though you use the same method, for the observer, it looks like a whole mumbo jumbo, unordered actions. There is obviously a method behind it, but in the eyes of that party that is not part of this sharing information, it looks in a very random way. And I'll explain. I'll give you an example, okay, shortly. Low entropy means that now we are risking our cryptographic system with repetition. And I want you to write it down. Write the word repetition. Repetition is the enemy of randomization, of the entropy. So as you choose your cryptographic algorithms, you want to choose cryptographic algorithms with high entropy, less order. Let me take you back to World War II, okay? World War II, the way that Germany used their Enigma. You all know about the Enigma machine, right? The way it was used to encrypt messages between units in the military, in the army, the navy, and the Luftwaffe, the Air Force. So there's a good example of the way the Navy was used the Enigma on a daily basis. They basically transmit a key, okay? So they shared with all units, submarine, any naval unit, they shared the key for that day. That key was automatically generated in the headquarters. So at 7 a.m. Berlin time, okay, all submarines went up scope to get that key for that day. Once they got the key, they went back in, and from that point, information was shared securely between the units, okay? The problem that Germany had with sharing the key was the systematic way it was executed. Every morning at 7 a.m., the key was shared. Every message started with the same characters okay? The same characters. It was, I don't know how many characters, it was 8, 9 characters. Every day started with the same characters. This created repetition. And what happened is when the British intelligence agency back in Bletchley Park intercepted these messages time and time again, they realized that there's a pattern here. Every morning, 7 a.m., we need to listen to what is coming from Berlin to all naval units. We capture this, we don't know what's in it, right? It looks one big mess, but it always starts, think of an A4 page, it always starts with the same 8 to 9 characters. And after a lot of analysis on the British intelligence agency side, they figured that the beginning of the message was the 2 words Sieg Heil. Okay, the call for the regime in Nazi Germany. So Sieg Heil was the beginning of every transmission. 7 a.m. that was the message. Okay, so the German was very precise in the way they did what they did, the way they shared the information with one another. And they wanted to keep this order. But what happened is that order came and bite them back. That was their weakness. Okay? That was their repetition. The same time every day, the same beginning of the message helped the Allies intercept and then decrypt the messages. The more they put their hands on, the easier it was for them to decrypt. All right? So again, high entropy is where you want your cryptography to be. Low entropy means that now you have repetition. You have a pattern that can be easily used to break your cryptography. Make sense, guys? Any questions on this? I'm sure you all already got used to the fact that, you know, when I'm, you know, taking my time on a topic, that means that that topic is critical for your CISSP, okay? Critical for your questions in CISSP. So I know that obvious to some of you, but as you run into the questions of cryptography, these are the areas that you need to always have in mind as you address the questions, because most questions on cryptography will be for the use of cryptography and not just memorizing numbers. We have those too, but the use of the control called cryptography is the one that you're probably going to be tested on. All right? Okay. So let's look at the way the any cryptography algorithm will be built. We mentioned that the key is one factor, one success factor, or the work function, another name for a key, will be one to determine the strength of the cryptography algorithm. All right. So that key is important for us. However, it's not alone. There's a whole method behind it. Part of the methods are these. For example, the XOR method, and I'm sure you're all familiar with XOR, but if you don't, then XOR is another way of running a Boolean operation, with binary numbers 1 or 0s. So if my input is the same on both sides, the input is 0 and 0, or 0 all the way, all right, then my output is 0. It's a very simple question. If it's the same, then the output is 0. If it's all 1, then the output is 0. But if it's changed, so if I have 7 zeros and 1 1, the output will be 1. Not because of the summary of this, but because of the question, are these the same inputs? If the answer to the question, yes, it's the same inputs, then the output is 0. If the answer is no, it's not the same input, then the answer is 1. All right, that's the XOR. Now, where can we see that in the CISSP? In the CISSP, they probably will not do that unless you're in level 2 and 1 questions. But you know, if you run into this type of question, then you probably get a table asking you what is the result of this XOR table. You will need to run with your eyes and see, oh, these are all inputs of the same 0 or 1, then the output is 0. And then you will need to choose one of 4 answers. Okay, this is merely to waste your time. There's no other explanation behind this, okay? You're trying to waste your time, all right? Okay, but, you know, you're so sweet. Excuse me for 15 minutes. Okay, no worries about this. If you need to take a break, okay? We will take a break at 1 o'clock exactly your time, all right? So bear with me for half an hour, and then we can all take a break together. The next method can be rotation substitution. Rotation substitution means that we rotate the alphabet, the English alphabet. Okay, so A to Z, and instead of having A to Z in order, we move it 3 characters, 4 characters, 13 characters to the left or right. Okay, sorry, your side, left or right. Okay, so when we get a question about ROT3, ROT3 means that A now becomes D, B becomes E, right? So the message is encrypted in such way that we simply move the alphabet 3 characters to the right. I'm trying to figure out your way, but to the right, okay? Now we can get the minus or the other way, so moving left. So if the ROT is in minus or Unix ROT, okay, then now A can become, if it's -3, for example, then now A becomes what? If I'm using ROT -3, then A becomes
-3 becomes Z where Y.
W.
No.
W.
So Z is 1, right? 1, 2, right?
W. X.
Oh, it's X.
X, right? Okay, so that's ROT -3. Now, sometimes in your CISSP, the minus can be in brackets, okay? But they will tell you in the question.
But here in the presentation here, you can see Caesar is ROT -3, and then after that, the next bullet is A, D and B
So
changed
this is
to E.
ROT
So this
3.
is.
It's not ROT -3. It's ROT.
Oh, I understand what you're saying, but check on the right example. You see ROT 13 without the minus.
Aha.
So it's misleading.
Now, here's a tip and trick. If they ask you about ROT 13, then pat yourself on the back and say, good, you know, I just got a question, an answer for free. Because ROT 13
It's just
and
in the
ROT
middle, yes.
-13 are the same. So there's no way for you to make a mistake here, okay?
Yes, of course.
In my CISSP exam, okay, my CISSP exam, I got a ROT question. And I can tell you that this is simply just to waste your time because you have to write down. See how Jega is doing it now? Jega, you were like A, B, C, right? You were doing it. I was doing exactly this, man, in my exam. I had to write down the A, B, C and then move 8 to here and then get the answer. was just one answer, man. One answer, you know, one question. And I took the 250 questions exam, by the way.
250.
250 questions.
An old one.
Yeah, that was before the CAT exam. So the ROT is pretty straightforward. There is another way of substitution, which we, in advance, set the substitution. We say, okay, instead of A, today we're going to use J. B is going to be substituted with S, and so on and so forth. So this is my plain text, okay? BEAD. And this is my ciphertext, SCJO. Only if you hold the key, this is the key, and this is the method, right? The substitution is the method, but this is the key. Only if you hold today's key, you'll be able to decipher my ciphertext, right? Decrypt my ciphertext. Polyalphabetic cipher says something pretty easy, and forgive me for saying it, pretty stupid. I don't know who's using that, but it's something we need to know. So poly in Latin means many, okay? Polyalphabetic means that we use many alphabet. How many? 26 to be accurate, okay? So 26 times we write the alphabet, beginning, the first line is A, and this is a board that we use, okay? So we have the A through Z here, and then we move one, B through A, and then C through B, and so on and so forth. And we do it 26 times here, 26 times here, and then what we get is a table. Now, at any given time or day, we set the key, and we say, okay, today our start letter is R, for example. So if we want to say M in today's key, we go to this column, and instead of M, we choose the letter D. Okay, do you see that? All right, but the key behind this cryptographic algorithm is this table. The method is how we get to the specific letter. All right? Do you see the connection between the
just like ROT minus 10, I think, or 9.
Yes, but this can change. So we can move left and we can move right, we can move up and we can move down. Okay? It reminds the ROT. Yes, I agree with you.
Yes, the same. you just see it in a 2D table, but
yes, I agree. It's very similar to ROT. So permutation is now working on the number of the character, okay? The number of the character, the position of the character is now set by numbers. So the first character doesn't care what character, but the first character will be replaced with the fourth, the second with the third, and so on and so forth. So in order for us to spell BEAD again, B is the first, will be replaced with the fourth, okay? And the second with the third, right? So this will be the outcome, the ADEB. Confusion and diffusion is another thing that we want to consider, because confusion, when we use cryptography to create the confusion, is really that when we say that we destroy the pattern connecting the key to the ciphertext. So no longer we're able to access or read the key. So cryptographic substitution, much like what we saw previously, creates or provides confusion. Okay? Diffusion, we destroy the pattern, the method connecting plain text to ciphertext. So nobody can understand the method. So it's one of the two. Confusion is destroying the key. Diffusion is destroying the method. Okay? Confusion is more substitution. And diffusion is the permutation that we just saw. All right, guys? Is this clear?
No.
No. Okay. Ask away.
Just again, confusion is destroying the key.
Right.
And diffusion destroy the path.
Exactly. The method. Yes.
What do you mean by destroying?
So there's no way that you can track back the method, and there's no way you can track back the key because it's not used anywhere. Just something that we agree on, and then we start communicating. All right.
Okay. So
Right?
if I destroy the key, I did a confusion, and
Exactly.
change the method, I did the diffusion.
Right. Exactly.
That's okay. Good.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's run a short exercise here, which I hope will help clear some of the confusion that we have around cryptography so far. So bear with me for a second and look at my screen, okay? Because I need you guys to be with me for a second. So here we have a plain text. We have a message we want to transfer from me to Jega, okay? I want to tell Jega today, my message to Jega is right here. CISSP is the #1 security certificate. This is my message to you, Jega. Okay? This is what I decided to share with you. Now, Jega gets this message from me. How can Jega understand how to reconstruct the message that will say CISSP is the #1 security certificate? There's a way for Jega to start deciphering, okay, or decrypting the message. The way to do that is to go back to our key. Our key for today, me and Jega woke up this morning and decided on a key. Our key today is the word secure, right? The word secure is written in a 6-block key frame, okay? A box with 6 blocks in it, okay? We take the word secure and we put it in order of the letters on the alphabet. For example, we look at the word secure and we look for the highest letter in the alphabet. What will be that word? That letter, sorry? That letter will be C. You see that? Of the 6 letters, C is the highest in the alphabet, right? So C will get the number 1. And then we go back to the beginning and we look for the next highest letter in the ABC. This one will be E, right? The first E will get the number 2. The second E will get the number 3. Do you see that? You all good? Great.
Yeah.
Next one will be R. R will get the number 4. And then S will get the number 5. And finally, U will get the number 6. All right, so 6 characters, block of 6 characters. The length of the key is 6 bits. Okay, 6 characters. And in order, we get this number here, 521643. All right. Now, Jega does this very easy action. He simply takes the first block of the message. He overall received 6 blocks from me. Okay, 6 blocks. He puts each block as a column in order of the number. He takes this block, SHEEYF, and puts it where the column 1 is placed. SHEEYF. Do you see that? Do you all see that?
Yeah.
Yep. Does anyone doesn't see that? First block to the first column of C. All right? Second block to the second column of E. Third block, third column. Fourth block, fourth column. Fifth block, fifth column. Sixth block, sixth column. Now Jega, only action will be to simply read through the message. CISSP is the #1 security certificate. That's the action of encryption and decryption. That's the plain text and ciphertext. That's the length of a key and the length of the block size of the key and the block size of a message.
Question.
Yes.
We got all 6 blocks. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
We know the key. Good.
Mhm.
How do we know actually how to put all the blocks together?
Ah, that's good. This one is the method. And me and Jega agreed on the method before we went part ways. He decided to live in Berlin. I decided to live in Tel Aviv. But before we split, we agreed on the method. Now, how this is done in computers? In computers, we say we choose RSA algorithm. By saying we choose RSA algorithm, we say this is the method that we're going to communicate on. And all we have left to do now is to choose the key that we're going to use. Okay?
Which actually the method knows that, for example, the first column stays under 5, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And after that puts the second one under, I don't know, 3, for example.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
The thing is that tomorrow morning, we can choose another word, a different key. Okay? For example, we have the word column, this one. Okay? Me and Jega agrees that today we WhatsApp each other. Okay? We wake up in the morning and Jega sends me the word column. I know what to do with it. I simply put the word column here and I rank the letters according to the ABC. And then I put my message in there and I pull out the blocks, and this is what I sent Jega now. Jega sent me the key. Now I can share with Jega the encrypted message. If you will intercept that message in the middle, if you don't have the key, you're not able to decrypt it. You will not know what to do with it. All right? Now, bear in mind that this is super basic cryptography, encryption, okay? But just to understand the phrases, the terms that are used in cryptography. Block size, message block size, key block size, keys, method, encryption, decryption, plain text, and ciphertext.
What is the message block size here?
Okay, does anybody want to answer this? What is the message block size? Or the algorithm block size? Look at this. What is the block size?
6.
No. I knew that someone's going to fall in this. Look carefully.
You have a year 7, like 1, 2, 3,
There you
4,
go.
5, 6, 7, yeah.
There you go. Now, remember
So it's between
that we
6
get to
and 7.
domain 8, and we will talk about null values in databases, okay? The fact that I have space here doesn't, to our eyes, it looks empty, right? But to a computer, there is a space there. That means that there's an ASCII value behind this. Are you all familiar with what I'm talking about? The ASCII value of a space character. So it looks like there's nothing there, but there's actually something there. The block sizes are always 7 here, okay? So even if my word is 6 characters, I need to capture the whole 7 size block. All right, Cal?
Absolutely.
Good, good, good. This is important. This is really important. As you go through domain 3 and cryptography, and you run into all these algorithms, and your brain feels like it's about to explode with all these numbers of block size and key size and 256 bit and 192 bits, go back to this and revisit the terms here. Okay, go back to this and understand this again, what it means, the block size, the key size, and why is it so important for the protection of the control called cryptography. All right, guys?
Okay.
All good?
Yeah.
All right, all right. So at this point, I'm making it earlier for you because I see that you're, I just see the eyes and I know how you feel now. This is a lot of information. So let's take a break from now until 2 your time. So I'm adding 10 minutes to your break today, okay? Since we are moving fast today, and I'm super happy, okay? But let's take a break. Let's reconvene at 2 o'clock here. The next, the reason I'm taking the break here is because the next part is a different topic related to cryptography, but another part of it. Okay, so I'm choosing to stop here instead of starting a whole different area of knowledge. Okay, so 2 o'clock, reconvene here, and enjoy lunch.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye. Thank you.
You too.
all right.
Thank you
Enjoy.
very much. But bye bye.